We need that human connection. That's what we're made for. Put your phone away. Put your phone away. Being open-minded to change and do things a little differently. I want to make sure I remember you.
Yeah. Hey guys, it's Stephen Harrington Dakota, your agency BFF and performance coach, along with my friend and co-worker, Miss Therese
Potter. Hey, I am the training and operations coordinator for APP, and I am here to do some information with Stephen. What are we talking about today? We're talking about relationships.
Business relationships. So we do a lot of work with people on client relationships, building stronger relations with clients, what to do to make clients happy, but what do we do to build business relationships, like with either referral partners or other people in the community? And I think that's another big, important part of doing business. You don't even have to leave your desk a lot of times to do it, but we just want to give you some simple steps because I think a lot of people get really tense and worried about it. Like, oh no, I could never do that. Like, I'm a shy person, or I don't know what to do, or I'm always uncomfortable. So we got some tips here for you that we're going to go through and also share some of our experiences with networking. I know Therese is a master networker. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I have been in several different roles in insurance agencies, started in agencies just from the ground zero, a greenhorn, not knowing anything. And I learned very quickly it's about who you know and how you answer the phone and how you talk to people. And I found that it was really important to actually sometimes get out of the office to talk to people and network. So my first office was in downtown here in North Carolina, Cary, North Carolina, and I would actually walk at lunchtime. And I would just walk into stores and talk to people and just say hi. I don't know if you know, there's an insurance agency right there, right in your backyard. You could call me and I would leave my card. So just simple things of just talking to people. Maybe in the grocery store even. When you're at the grocery store for lunch, you run to the grocery store to grab something for lunch and the cashier's talking and building rapport and you build that rapport right back. So there's a million different ways to do it. You just have to think about it.
Yeah, my second job in insurance, my first job was doing primarily farm insurance. So I started in ag, driving around knowing nothing about insurance, doing farm inspection. Like I knew how to measure and I knew what I was looking for. And my boss said we were supposed to wear suits. And I went to my first farm in a suit and realized that was a horrible idea. You have to dress for the event or dress for the occasion. So I learned that very quickly. My second job in insurance was people that volunteered heavily in the community. They didn't do any advertising. They literally just volunteered, like 2 to 3 hours a day kind of volunteering. They each had their passions, both the owners, and I was expected to do the same thing. And I'm like, I don't even know what a passion is, right? Like I'm just trying to pay my bills. And so I started doing chamber. And I was like the lost little puppy. Like I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anything. I was so nervous. I was so shy. Like I was not like everybody else. I have a bit of a unique quality to myself.
I was going to say a uniqueness. We all have a uniqueness. Some of it, right. Sometimes you can see it and sometimes you can't.
Right. And I had to learn to embrace that, right? And be comfortable with who I was in order to be successful. So I started doing like the registration desk at chamber events. I'd be like, I can do the name tag. And it was because that way I got to see people, I got to know their name, what they did, and have a quick conversation as I was checking them in. There's a tons of different ways to get to know people, but
in the agency I was at that I walked downtown, I actually convinced the owner by the end of my tenure there to volunteer with the fire departments and take stuff to the police departments. And we actually started going to nursing homes because one of our staff members, her husband actually ended up in a nursing home. So that gave us the idea we would go in the nursing home. So there's so much you can do. And the chambers, those are great. I mean, some of the communities actually have get to know you. Hey, here's your chamber. Come in and learn. It's like chamber 101 meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even have to be a member to join those 101 chambers because they're trying to get you into the chamber. Yeah. So just attending those, I actually went to one and there were bank people there and they were opening a bunch of banks and I was invited to the bank grand opening. So definitely there's a ton of different ways. LinkedIn is huge.
Yeah, you don't have to leave your desk to do LinkedIn.
Well, and there's actually, if you're in a certain area, I'm close to Raleigh, North Carolina, and there's a lady that's local that does LinkedIn events at an event location here. And there's one thing that she taught me that was amazing. If you're in LinkedIn and you're in a group of people, you announce to them, hey, turn on this button on LinkedIn, it will actually ping everybody in the room and you can click friend those people.
Oh.
So there are some secrets to like LinkedIn. I don't know if LinkedIn still does that. That was a while ago, but it's the coolest thing because you're in the room with these people and you turn it on and it'll start finding everybody that's close to you in the room. And you're like, oh yeah, there she is.
We're in a live. I was teaching this. I was actually used to teach this as a course, like as an hour lunch and learn for different community sponsors. And we used to do that. I would say, okay, everybody get out your phone, open your LinkedIn, turn on, like, there was a little button you would turn on, and everybody that was around that had it on, you could be like, add. It was amazing.
Yeah, so that's definitely a technological. I mean, if we can use technology to our advantage, then you're meeting people without even meeting people. You're in the same room and you're like, oh yeah, and you look around, and you're like, oh yeah, there's that person. So being open-minded to change and do things a little differently.
One of the other things I like to do is I use my phone, like the note section in my phone constantly. Like if I'm having a good conversation with somebody, I'll be like, oh, I'm going to run and get a snack or I need to run to the restroom. And as I'm going, I'm typing notes in my phone about what we talked about because I'm really good in the moment, like talking to somebody and I'm truly engaged. But then I get engaged 7 more times and I'm like, wah, wah, who was the first person I talked to? Kind of like if it's not in the management system, it didn't happen. It's kind of like when you're networking, if you're not taking notes, and there's no follow-up, did it really happen?
Well, just make sure you don't do that when you're talking to the person because if you're sitting there talking to the person and you're like this, they're going to think that you're texting and not paying attention. Or you need to say, hey, I'm just taking notes. I want to make sure I remember you.
Yeah. There's also, they're like digital business cards where it's a QR code or it's a tap, like you can tap somebody's phone. Those are amazing as well.
Our management system, HubSpot, you can take a picture of the card and it'll throw the information into it. So check your management system. Your management system may be able to do that as well.
Yeah, there's lots of great technology out there. So what is one thing you think is really important to remember when, like, let's say I'm new, right? Because we've all been there. I'm this nervous one. I'm standing in the corner, don't know what to do. Like, what is your advice to that person?
I think eye contact is very important. Getting eye contact with somebody and just saying hello is a good way to start. Think about things like pets, kids, any kind of conversation about pets and kids, conversation about work. If somebody's dressed up, you can say, hey, wow, you look nice today. Are you heading to a certain event? What do you do for work? So just using different kinds of things. Like I said, people love to talk about pets. If you see a pair of shoes they're wearing that you have, or a purse that they have that you like, comment on those things. Because I think we've lost the value and it's starting to come back. I think people have started to realize how important it is. When you see somebody you don't know, but you admire something about them, tell them. You know, it doesn't matter if they're strangers. It's gonna make their day. It may start a conversation. You may meet a new friend that you didn't expect to have. But start little, hello, eye contact. Put your phone away. Put your phone away. Because if you have your phone in front of you, you're not going to talk to people. You're going to be
walking through events and people are like, and I'm like, hey, and they're like, hey. I'm like, okay, cool. You keep on keeping with your Facebook.
Yeah. Putting our phones away is one of the biggest, the phones is what has made us stop communicating. And sometimes we think getting on social media, we are communicating, but we really aren't. We need that human connection. That's what we're made for. We're made for that human connection. And it's just, it's refreshing when you talk to somebody and that they, and some people will just hi and keep walking. And don't take that as rejection. Some people are just in their own world. Everybody has a bad day occasionally. So it may just be that they're having a bad day. Don't take it personally.
Right. I was at an event a couple months ago and it was sunny, bright and hot. And like, I'm just like dying because it's outside in Texas in August. It was nice and it was humid to me. I guess people from the South think that's normal. Like, they're like, it's a cool day. I'm like, no, this is hot and humid, kids. I'm from Washington, so we don't have a whole lot of humidity. Like when we do, we're like, oh, it's humid today. And it's probably nothing compared to the South. But there was a lady who was cranky, sitting on her phone, like sitting at a table by herself, and she just looked cranky. And I was like, and she had the same sunglasses I did, because I love sunglasses. And I was like, oh, hey. I was like, it's so hilarious. I just got these sunglasses. You're wearing the same ones. We must have gone shopping together. I didn't even know it. Right? Like I made like a joke and she looks up. She's like, what? I was like, oh, I was just commenting on your sunglasses. Like, we have the exact same sunglasses. You have amazing taste. We're going to have to go shopping together sometime. And she was like, I don't know you. I'm like, but you could get to know me. We obviously have something in common, our sunglasses. And then she's like, oh my God, you're so weird. What's your name? And I was like, oh, I'm Steven. And she was like, and what do you do? I'm like, no, what do you do? And I just flipped it around instantly and we started talking. So, I mean, it was one of those things of something was going on with her day. I don't know what it was, home, work, or she just was uncomfortable. But I also outlasted the suck. Like, okay, she's in a mood and I'm going to break this. Like, I'm going to find a way to get through. But that came because of years of experience networking, right? And if I can find one person to talk to that nobody else is talking to, I'm going to find out all their secrets. Like, what do they do? I might become the only person they talk to the whole night. So I'll be the only one they remember.
I have another secret.
Ooh, what?
If you're a licensed insurance agent, CE courses are the bomb diggity. Now, here in North Carolina, a lot of the restoration companies actually will have CE courses for free for agents.
Yeah.
That is their way of bringing in business to their restoration company. I actually taught them for a little while, so I had a little bit of a different connection. But going to CE courses and talking to other licensed insurance agents, not only can you learn a ton, but you can also make connections with other insurance agents. And there's a lot of agents out there that like can't write certain lines of business. Yeah. And those are huge connections. There could be mortgage people that work at banks, CE courses. And of course, you've got the restoration company people, and everybody has to have personal lines insurance. So it doesn't matter who you're talking to. If they drive a car or live under a roof, they need insurance. So it's all over the place. And CE courses are another excellent way to make connections and learn about events, because those insurance agents also probably go to events and do networking too.
One thing that I like to, and this is from our blog, is called SLOW. Like, I love acronyms. Like, if we break it down, so SLOW, SLOW, strategic and logical often wins. So when you're having a conversation and you're keeping it like, I mean, I keep politics out of everything. So unless you're my best friend, then we probably still won't even discuss it because I have my beliefs and that's fine. But we could talk about work. We could talk about pets. We could talk about vacations. Like, lots of things are open. So I like to really get to know somebody, take those notes. And then when I get back, if I think it's going to be a great relationship, I will do a handwritten note, which is so old school. But think about the last time you received a handwritten note. I never get them anymore, right? Every time I would teach this class about networking and these things, that I gave everybody like 3 thank you notes, like note cards with an envelope with a stamp on it. Mm-hmm. They would always mail one back to me. And I'm like, okay, I didn't like, thank you. Like, I appreciate it, but that was not the point of it. It was to get you out of your comfort zone and send it to strangers, right? People you just met. But I was going through my desk the other day and I still have a stack of like all the handwritten note cards that I received from people. And every time I think of 2 or 3 of them, they're like my favorite mortgage person, my favorite real estate person, my favorite. And it wasn't because we had a great conversation to begin with. It was a pretty basic conversation. But they took the extra time to send a note and they were like, hey, it was so great getting to know you. Excited to meet somebody else in the insurance industry. Let's friend each other on Facebook. I want to see pictures of your dog, Tito. It was something personal. It was intentional. And it had a couple business cards in it, right?
And slowing down is huge. I don't know if I want to call it my American culture. I talk fast. I eat fast. I drive fast. I actually have to put my cruise control on because I drive too fast. And I volunteer with my local police department. So I have to be careful of that. So yeah. I use my cruise control a lot. And it's just, and when I moved to Guatemala, Central America, they were like, whoa, slow down. I had somebody say to me, you need to say good morning before you start talking to people, because I would just go right into that topic. No good morning, no good afternoon. And I learned that lesson culturally that I needed to start doing that. And I've been back to the States, wow, like 13, 14 years now. And you go right back to those habits again. So when I speak to people in Spanish, it almost brings that culture back. And then I start going back into that, oh, good morning, how are you? And then I start building rapport. And it's funny, I can build rapport better in Spanish than I can in English because it's a cultural thing that I learned. Right. So as Americans, this fast-paced world that we live in, it's important to slow down.
I think the other thing too is to make sure that you're communicating in the way that they want to communicate for follow-up. Like, I love the phone, so I don't mind calling people. Email, I'm like, yeah, whatever, yeah, whatever, yeah, whatever, yeah, whatever. And I think a lot of us have learned to read those canned emails. Like, we all have marketing systems, and that pretty generic email goes out that's like, hello, Steven, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, you just got my business card at the event, whatever. But if you pick up the phone and call me, I'm down. Like, I will talk to you. You might have to leave a voicemail, I'll have to call you back. Or like LinkedIn, right? Like, send me a thing on LinkedIn. That's great. I'm not on LinkedIn much. I should probably use it more, but Facebook all day long. I'm that weird age where I still love the Facebook. I don't get on TikTok because it wastes all my time. Facebook Reels is where it's at for like 10 minutes a day. And then I have to be like, nope, we're done.
I like the 10 minutes a day.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have to have a limit. Otherwise, like, it just spirals, and I have way too many other things to do. My other half only text, won't do email or phone. You call him, he's not going to answer. You send him an email, it gets deleted or sent to me. But you send him a text, you'll get an instant response.
Mine too.
I mean, like, let's not surprise people with how we're contacting them. In the conversation, be like, hey, I really love Facebook and phone calls. What are you down for? How should we connect in the future? And I don't think it's an awkward conversation. I think it's only awkward because we don't do it.
Right.
But then it alleviates that awkwardness at the end.
Definitely.
Do you have any closing thoughts for us on building relationships, networking?
I just think they need to realize how important it is, even if they sit behind a desk all day. When you go to the grocery store, go out shopping, you still, and even your friends. I mean, I have agents that worked at agencies that I've been at. They would go to events in downtown where we would have a table or something, and she would be with me, and she'll know who she is. People would be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were in insurance. And I'm like, really? So half of them would know, and the other half had no idea.
Right.
So remember that, if you're a really good insurance agent, who better than to insure your friends and family but you? And
I think networking, business networking too, can be talking to your existing clients and asking for referrals.
For sure.
Or a mortgage person that they're sending over a binder request and you have a question and they just seem nice. Like, talk to them, right? They're real people just like you. So yeah. I think there's tons of ways, live or virtual, or just even from your desk, to make a great business relationship happen.
Definitely. Yeah, there's a million ways, and we could stay on this all day and just keep talking about them.
We do also have some resources available, guys. We have our WOW customer service course, which talks about building relationships with customers. We have our sales training course, which really gets into building centers of influence. What are you going to do once you get the lead, and how to keep the leads coming? And we have our service course for retention, which also touches on relationship building. So we are big believers in relationships. We would like you to be as well. You can always find all of our content at agencyperformancepartners.com, on our blog, on our Facebook, on all of our social medias, LinkedIn. We're all over the place. Linda Ray. Hey, Linda Ray. Pinterest, yes. Our marketing lady is fabulous. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out to either Teresa or I. We're happy to chat with you. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.